y'all! Nope, I am never gonna say that again. Hey everybody out on the internet world, it is I, once again, Cat9453 here. Today we are going to talk about stereotypes in Texas. Now, you may be wondering all of a sudden why I brought this topic up or why I even made this video. Well, my family is moving out of the state. Don't know when, don't know why. Well, that's actually kind of a partial lie. I do know why. We're moving because I'm starting college up in Columbus, Ohio, at a university called Otterbein, and my dad is retiring. My mom is, depending on how you look at it, is still working. So, fortunately or unfortunately, is still working. Currently, I reside in Texas, in my home city, or at least the city I grew a majority of my life, and I graduated high school in. And I'll show you a little bit more about my town in the next episode. Anywho, let's continue on with the stereotypes, since that's what this video is about. Stereotype number 1. Not everyone actually has a gun in Texas. Only about 35.9% of people in Texas do. At least that's what's recorded. I am not one of those people. I don't think it would be a good idea to let a klutz such as myself to have a gun, unless you want bullets in places where they should not be, like, your computer or, like, holes in the wall, like Sherlock does. However, I do know people who do have guns, and they are not afraid to use them. Some of them I know go hunting on a regular basis. Stereotype number dos. As the great Tom Landry summed it up, football is to Texas what religion is to a priest. Football in Texas is huge, and not on just the NFL level. I'm actually talking about the college and high school level. Although, since we are, touching upon the NFL, I should mention that not everyone here in Texas is a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. In fact, many people from Houston strangely prefer the team from Houston. Poor Houston. That being said, those who are Cowboys fans can rest assured that they will have at least one cardiac arrest from our quarterback every time he throws, and thank the almighty football god we got Zeke every time they play. Moving on, Texas high school and college football is highly competitive. There is a reason why you hear so many Texas colleges competing in football, such as A&M, Texas Longhorns, Baylor, Texas Tech, SMU, and TCU. Sorry, UTEP, but no one really hears about you. And don't expect to get very far in this town across the state without finding a high school football stadium that is packed like sardines on a Friday night. I mean, there is a reason why they build like a $60 million high school football stadium in my city, which went over budget, by the way, and we'll touch more upon that in the other video. Stereotype number 3. Everything here in Texas is big and bigger than anything I've ever saw or ever seen in my life. And when I say everything is bigger, I mean everything is bigger. I live in what is considered a big house compared to the average here in America. We have big schools and big marching bands that go along with said schools. When I step outside, I see huge creepy bugs literally on the, front area of the doorstep. I don't know what that is called. It's not a porch. And I see across in my neighbor's yard, they have a huge Texas flag waving in the air. Not exaggerating, like they literally have this large Texas flag waving in the air. I see churches that are literally the size of auditoriums and or stadiums. I mean, I literally have to wait out in traffic with the rest of people who sometimes are in huge, large, stereotype trucks. And the suburbs, here in Texas, suburbs, because they are police directing traffic from the church. Literally, you see a guy there directing traffic outside of the church. Never seen that until I came here to Texas. And when I was in high school, instead of having corsages like usually people have when they go to pretty much homecoming, girls would literally wear these obnoxious things called mums at school. Literally, I could not go to school and not hear a single cowbell every day. A cowbell that whole week. Cowbell. Actually, I think some of the teachers, if I remember correctly, made some of the girls who had the real obnoxious moms take them off because they kept ringing every time they moved. And if you don't believe me how big everything is here, seriously, I mean, we have a huge marketing icon at the state fair called Big Tex, and he burned down because of some issues with the electrical equipment, and that was on October 19th, 2012. And when that happened, they just decided, hey, let's rebuild him. So they made him bigger and better. Like, he's like, I think like another like 6 or 7 inches taller and a lot more wide. I don't know how, I don't have the exact dimensions on that. Stereotype number 4. Speaking of the state fair, a lot of people, for some reason, think everything in Texas is either Tex-Mex or it's fried. And unless you go to the state fair, which I will admit they do have a lot of fried food, including fried Oreos, which don't know why, we just do. We actually have a variety of food ranging from good old classic American to Chinese and Japanese food. For some reason, there's literally a lot of fast food places on every block and not just one. Texas like to be home to a lot of fast food places. In fact, here on a road called Stacy, right by my house, you can literally just hit, like, there's just literally, like, fast food after fast food after fast food. I think it goes, like, a Pollo Loco, and then it goes Taco Bell, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A. Oh, I forgot Whataburger. Whataburger's in between McDonald's and a Pollo Loco. Taco Bueno's right up by Pollo Loco. And then something, Cane's. And then we have a restaurant called, it's a, like, kind of a casual restaurant called Cheddar's. And then fast food restaurant In-N-Out, which I'm not a big fan of. Which, speaking of, you can keep your In-N-Out burgers and White Castles and McDonald's away from the state because they've got nothing on the Texas masterpiece that is called Whataburger. Not even joking, I literally went and ordered all the burgers on that street that I was talking about, and Whataburger Jr., the Whataburger Jr. burger is literally like the size of a regular In-N-Out burger, and it's better than an In-N-Out burger. Sorry. I'm from California, and I've never had an In-N-Out burger, but apparently from what my friends have told me that have in California, they say the burgers there are better than the In-N-Out burgers here. So, sorry, that's what happens when you try to franchise out of your state. It's just like Wendy's. Wendy's is better up in Ohio than it is here. And also, a lot of people here strangely love chicken. I love chicken. I'm a huge fan of chicken. And I'm not exaggerating on this fact, but there's actually, in that Chick-fil-A I mentioned, there's a huge line out there, and sometimes it wraps around the building. So that's kind of the reason why everyone kind of avoids that line. But it's hilarious seeing it because here's like this huge line wrapping around Chick-fil-A twice, and then there's just McDonald's right next to it, and there's nobody there except for like 2 cars. It's pretty strange and sad, but it's really cool at the same time. Stereotype number 5, we are all cowboys. Not everyone wears a cowboy hat unless you're my eccentric neighbor who actually has a pet parrot and a golden retriever. He's really cool, by the way. And same with the cowboy boots. I've worn these items before, but I did it for, more like high school spirit days that I had when I was in high school and for cosplay purposes. I actually went as Woody, a female Woody, because I didn't want to go as Wendy because I didn't want to spray, like fake, temporarily dye my hair red. So I just, since I had short hair, I just went as Woody. For some reason, I don't know why you people always think that we all ride horses to school or anywhere for that matter, including the highway. We don't. Actually, in truth, the horses are not actually even allowed on the roads. Stereotype number 6. Welcome to Texas, the home of not only the king of country, George Strait, but also, apparently to some people, Queen Beyonce. She's not my queen, I'm sorry. I have different preferences. I'm not a really big fan of her either. Just like everywhere else in America, we have a horrible top 40 stations, just like everywhere else. In fact, a lot of the stations here are mostly pop. I think there's only 2 country stations here called 96.3 and 99.5. At least that's where I'm living at. We're also home to Buddy Holly, who, rest in peace, Meatloaf, which, if you guys don't know who Meatloaf is, you guys need to look him up. He's awesome. Kelly Clarkson, obviously. Miranda Lambert, Willie Nelson, Janis Janis Joplin, I can't talk today, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Including an exceptionally large hip hop and rap scene coming out of Houston, which I'm not a big fan of hip hop and rap unless you're talking about like the roots of it, like back in the 70s and 80s and some parts of the 90s. Sorry, I'm more of a pop rock fan. Which, by the way, if you ever come down here to Dallas, Texas, and are looking for a classic rock station, beware that the station 92.5 Classic Rock plays a lot of Steve Miller Band. Just, like, a lot. Like, I can't go a single day without hearing at least a song by Steve Miller Band playing. They just do. I don't know why, but, well, actually, I do know why. They do because of the fact one of the members actually grew up here, but besides that point, I don't know why, like, the people there decide to play, like, Steve Miller Band, like, at least 5 songs in a row. It just gets annoying. Anyway. Stereotype number 7. Before we start, yes, I do have a southern accent, as some of you can slightly hear. And it only really comes out when I'm mad, though, kind of like, well, you ain't gonna do that because that ain't gonna happen, because you see, y'all, what you did there is just so ridiculous. I don't even understand. I don't understand why you did it. I'm done with you. It ain't gonna happen. We're not going that way. It ain't gonna happen. That is my southern accent. It's kind of a really rural accent, which is kind of weird, but I don't know. But actually, the majority of people here in Texas don't really actually have a twang, like I just did there. That twang, a lot of people don't have a twang here, and unless you go out in the rural areas, which I kind of grew up in, like, mostly suburbs, some rural area. And as with most places, the urban population speaks with a more generic American tongue. For example, Dallas, Texas. This could be because of the huge influx of people back in the 20th century that were from domestic immigrants. And now, I guess, in this century, from other states, kind of like the majority being from California, which, by the way, my family is an example from that, because my family moved here because of work purposes, and me. So we came from California, I believe, when I was about 5 years old, moved here, and I grew up here. Hence today. Ta-da. Bye. Nah, not really bye, but, I mean, you get my point. That's, I guess, another video for another time. However, everyone here does at one point say y'all. I try not to say y'all. Most of the time I say dude or you guys, but y'all does slip out once in a while. I guess just, like I said, depends how, pumped up or mad I am, I guess. So, yeah. Stereotype number 8. For the last time, Europeans, not all of America is Texas, and all the stereotypes you hear about America are most of the time generally the same stereotypes you hear about Texas. Now that that's off my chest, if you spend any amount of time in Texas, you'll quickly come to the realization that it's almost like a country of its own, considering the fact we were a country at one point. I'm gonna stop talking now. And as much as it is a stereotype, the state is probably the most patriotic in America. But we still have our roots in our own culture and history, since, like I said, Texas was its own country at one point, and then, Mexico, and, you learn that in history. If you don't, go read a textbook. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to explain it. Go on. Stereotype number 9. Now, I know a lot of people outside of Texas think that all there is out in Texas is either farmland with tractors and livestock, or a desert with hawks and cacti. And although we do have that here, it doesn't cover, the whole state. In fact, our state's actually more urban than yours. In fact, the 9th biggest city here in Texas is bigger than the state of New York's 2nd biggest city. And our city in Texas, that 9th biggest city, is a suburb. Also, because of how big Texas is, we have various types of terrain. If you're still thinking that Texas is nothing but a desert, then you can go live with my cousin in Houston. Because Houston gets a lot more rain than Seattle. And yes, I am talking about the Seattle and Washington. The gloomy, depressing place with lots of coffee shops. Last thing, Don't ask people here in Texas if we're part of the South or Southwest, because none of us have any idea. I mean, I did that when I first moved here, and half my answers were South, half my answers were Southwest, so you choose your pick. Personally, for me, I can't decide. Just can't. Stereotype number 10. Welcome to Texas, where the weather's made up and the seasons don't matter. I am not joking. You can't trust a single weatherman here. They get paid to literally be wrong. Unless it's natural disasters, then they're always 100% right. It could be, today, it could be like the day is 25 degrees in the morning, and then 3 hours later, after, dressing up in all these warm clothes here in Texas, it's almost 90 degrees. We also don't know what snow is. In fact, when the weatherman says there's a chance of snow and ice on the road, schools are all canceled or closed. We also can't drive on snow or ice. Yeah, people in Texas are lousy at driving on snow and ice because it's not real snow and ice. It's literally just kind of like a thin layer of water on the road that hasn't been salted because we have no salt. Sorry about that, but because of that, at least we don't have rusted cars, and I really sorry for throwing you guys under the bus, Michigan. Unless you're in the panhandle of Texas, there you'll literally freeze to death because they have negative-degree weather. Go figure. Like I said, welcome to Texas and its weather. It's weird. And that's it. Thank you all for watching this video. You guys make me extremely happy since this is, my first whiteboard animation midjigger thing video. Anyway, if you guys have an account, if you guys can subscribe, like, and share, or comment this video, that's awesome. And if you don't, either way, you guys are awesome because guess what? You're you. So this is me, Cat9453, signing out. So yeah. Bye!